Hello, and welcome to Intention Ascension. Today, I want to talk about being the jack of all trades and master of none. This is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing because it means that you're exploring yourself on so many different levels. And we use that saying, jack of all trades, master of none, as a diss, as being able to not complete anything that you start. Maybe correlating it with having ADHD and feeling like you're going to start all these projects. Now, the downside to this is that maybe that has been your track record. Maybe you've started a lot of things. Maybe you've started taking college courses. Maybe you've been extremely passionate for a short amount of time about journaling or doing artwork or, I don't know, maybe even starting a YouTube channel. And all of a sudden that passion, that desire fades and you pick up something else. So we want to not disregard the fact that we have multiple passions and many things that have excited us, but focus on where that energy started to deter and deplete and what you could have done differently during that time. So when we look at having multiple passions, it's because your brain is so active and you're like, I want to do this and I want to do that. And there's so many things that you can gear your time and your attention to. So understanding why it is that you want to do something is going to be the driver behind continuing and setting limits to the things that you are doing and making sure that you are able to do them in balance. And that's where we talk about having like smart and measurable goals for things, because having multiple passions is a true gift. Being a jack of all trades and not yet the master of any is a beautiful gift for you to experience. We are on this planet to create and embrace and find compassion and love and passion itself. And so we want to not enter into new projects feeling like, here goes another thing that I'm going to start and not finish. But here's another passion that I have, and I want to learn the most that I can about this. So setting those goals that are smaller goals, figuring out your why, understanding that just because you're picking up another project or another passion doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to see it through. Create an outline for yourself. Okay, this is what I want to do. This is what it's going to take for me to do this. And then this is my end goal. Now, if you are someone who's picking up and putting down often, quickly, multiple times in a couple of months, I would suggest starting out with maybe no more than 3 at a time. It depends on your schedule. What are you doing? How much free time do you have? Evaluate where you've stopped in the past. What were your obstacles? Did you all of a sudden come up against something that you felt incapable of seeing all the way through? Because that can be our deterrent. And when we understand why we've stopped other projects or why we've stopped doing other things that we were previously doing, there may be a level of fear or expectation that is coupled with that. Being able to pursue something to the end would also mean that you have to be flexible in your expectations of yourself. So picking up 2 or 3 different things at a time, but looking at your schedule, where am I going to have time to do this? What do I want to learn about this? So let's say you want to start gardening. Start watching people who are into gardening. Look at different things that are going to grow. The best piece of advice that I got for beginning in gardening was look at the environment that you're in and figure out which plants thrive, not which plants you're attracted to, not which plants you want to grow because they're going to benefit you in some way. What plants grow in your environment? Because if you don't start there, then you are going to start embarking onto a project that may become unsuccessful because you are still learning how to embrace this project in this climate, in this environment, and you don't want to be hit with environmental factors that can lead to what a more advanced person in this area would be able to evaluate, come up with a solution, understand, okay, maybe the plant shouldn't be here, but it should be over there. It needs more water. It needs less water. There's a lot that goes into it, right? And so when I heard that, I had to go and like clear out my Amazon shopping cart because I had different fruits and vegetables and things because I was basing what I wanted to grow off of what I was going to eat. And all of the things that I wanted were not sustainable at that time of year. They weren't sustainable in the environment in general. And I would have gotten, I mean, you guys, my track record, I have killed succulents. Okay. So when I'm telling you I'm coming up against obstacles in my gardening skills and then wanting to, go and apply my gardening skills all across my backyard and do A, B, C, and D. I mean, I have overloved my plants before, singing to them, talking to them, like moving them around, like all these things that I thought were going to be beneficial. Ultimately were not. And it was a lack of my knowledge in just the basics. Okay, that's how succulents die. And so when it came to doing this in my backyard and I was watching this video, that was the first time I ever heard somebody say that. Research the plants that grow in your area so that way you're not overcoming obstacles that only an expert in that area would be able to say, here's what's happening, or identify it before the problem even happens. We have to be patient with ourselves and understand that just because we pick something up doesn't mean that through the research that we do that we're going to learn everything that we need to know about this particular project that we are picking up. So I started out there and cleared out my shopping cart, yada, yada, yada. Eventually, I went from having a desert caliche dirt backyard to having a fairy garden land. And it was one of the most beautiful accomplishments that then allowed me to build the encouragement within myself that I was capable of doing this. That I went from this person who killed every plant, no matter what I did, house plant, indoor, outdoor, succulent, bonsai tree, the whole 9 yards, nothing survived. In fact, I had a friend that sent me a meme that was this lady shopping for plants. And she was like, do you want to come back to my house and die? And it was funny at the time because it was true. And I did this for years, just trying to keep things alive, and not doing or being patient with myself. And so when we're going through this creation and research process of the project that we're starting, it doesn't mean that just because we've indebted so much time into our research that we're not going to fail at what we're doing. So keep that in mind, that you are practicing, you are learning how to do things. If you want to take up cooking, just because you have a recipe in front of you and you have all of the ingredients and you have the measuring cups does not mean that you are going to make this exquisite meal that tastes amazing. And I also know that from personal experience. There is an entire science behind cooking that I still to this day have not taken into account to really master my cooking skills. But that will be one of the projects that I embark on when I create the time and energy for myself. And that is another thing. When we have that schedule and we say, okay, this is the project that I want to start. This is something I want to learn about. Where are you making time for this? And are you going to come up against a lack of energy when it comes to dedicating yourself to certain projects? Because that will also hinder you. I want to do this, but I'm just so tired. I can't, I don't. Like, I want to, but I don't. And then that drives us into our negative thought patterns. I really enjoy doing this. I had the energy for it before, but now I don't. Well, why? Figure out why. Why do you not have the energy for this anymore? And don't be hard on yourself for not having the energy in that current moment to do it. And remind yourself to get back on track. If you take a break for a day or two, or maybe even a week from this project that you're working on, or this passion that you're just going down the path of, don't be hard on yourself for falling out of this new passion, new habit, new structure that you're creating, and remind yourself to get back to it. Get back on the wagon, because you are restructuring your entire electromagnetic field. You are restructuring your self-defeating beliefs. You are learning how to implement a new version of you. And just like anything else, these things with practice will become easier and easier. Having multiple passions about many things is not a bad thing. Just figure out how it is you're going to continue to dive in to your passions, to your projects, to your hobbies, whether you're taking an art class and you're learning something new and you're meeting new people. Anytime we dive into the energy of doing something new, we start to attract things around us that are in alignment with whatever we set out to do. So if you are setting out to do the art, well, you're going to start looking into, what supplies do you need, like watching the videos like I always promote, because when we watch somebody else who's already doing it, it can make us really excited about what it is that we are going to do. So what art supplies you need, what other people are doing, what techniques people have implemented into their routine. How are you going to implement those into your routine? How are you going to step into the creation? And then you're going to start to see things pop up, like here's this class over here, or because you're interested, you're going to have a conversation with somebody at work or at a gathering, and they're going to say, oh, hey, you should, come over here, meet this person. They actually have an art studio. You'll dive into the history. You will start to attract the things around you that are going to support this new version of yourself. So don't feel inadequate when you're doing something, but take it all as opportunities to learn. Maybe you've spent hours and hours and hours researching art history, you love it, and you're watching documentaries, and you get into a conversation with somebody, and all of a sudden they know more than you do. And so you take a step back and you're like, oh, maybe I don't know as much as I thought I knew. And you start diving into that negative track. I don't want to speak up because I don't know that I actually have my facts right. If I say too much, I might look stupid. This person's going to think less of me because I'm not as smart as they are. Those are the negative tracks that play in our minds. And it's our job to flip it into, how can I know more? How can I learn more? How can I continue to be excited about what it is that I'm doing? So that way I can see this passion all the way through. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be something that's lucrative or something that you're going to monetize off of, but something that you truly enjoy and a part of yourself that you want to explore. So don't allow your negative self-defeating beliefs about who you've been or what you don't know or what you haven't done yet to be the driver behind whether or not you continue to pursue a project that you had so much passion for in the first place. If you've had multiple passions and you recognize that you've got this track record that you haven't fulfilled or seen things all the way through, maybe go back, because those projects will be slightly easier to pick up and pursue because you already have some foundational knowledge, and build your self-esteem by executing those projects, by doing those things. Maybe you've started writing a book and you've written a chapter or two, or maybe you finished an entire book, but you don't feel like it's good enough. But it's time to take those next steps, whether it's finishing that book or sending it out to publishers. I had mentioned earlier that J.K. Rowling sent Harry Potter to 12 different publishers before she finally got her deal. Now, so many of us would have set out to 2 or 3 publishers and been rejected, and said, okay, you know what, my book's not good enough. Or with every rejection comes feedback. With every rejection, in this case anyways, not always, some people are just like, no, you suck. But in this case, it will come back with feedback and they will tell you what is wrong. Could you imagine 8, 9, 10 times of submitting your book and having people tell you this is what sucks about the work that you have spent so much time doing, and continuing to persevere and continuing to send that book out, and then voila, now she's a multimillionaire or whatever. But she didn't give up, and she got that criticism. She got that negative feedback. She was placed in places, in settings where she was told she wasn't good enough. And she continued to believe in the work that she was doing, so that way she could sit at that round table and have those conversations with people. And in every failure or lesson, I prefer to call them lessons, or in every rejection that she experienced, she was told why she wasn't good enough, and she continued to believe in herself that she was good enough. And there are hundreds of thousands of stories of people who are currently walking this earth today and have walked our predecessors prior to us that have failed multiple times before they succeeded. So don't be hard on yourself because you have multiple passions. You've been labeled the jack of all trades and master of none. No, you're creative, you are on fire, you are capable, and you are worthy of having everything that you want. Make a plan. Decide how you're going to do it, and don't be hard on yourself if you're not doing it every single day, or if you need a break, or you find that you don't currently have the energy in the moment to continue down your daily goals that you have set for yourself. That's okay. Allow yourself the break. You are going to be creating that energy, creating that space, building the habit behind stepping into this next version of yourself, behind completing this passion project or hobby that you are currently engaged in. You're not going to go out to the golf course and then all of a sudden be a pro golfer. No, that takes time. That takes failures, rejections, lessons. That takes uncomfortable conversations. That takes being up against other people who are better than you are and not being discouraged and stepping away from the things that you are trying to accomplish for yourself. All right. I love you all.